This moment of silence is in remembrance of the lives lost during the Mississippi tornado and the lives lost at the Nashville, Tennessee shooting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Fire evacuation announcement. Double doors are behind you. Go out the double doors to the parking lot. Double doors to my left, your right. Go down the stairs and into the parking lot. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Acree.
Here.
Dr. Kalnin.
Here.
Mrs. Cushman.
Here.
Mr. Hamry.
Here.
Mr. LeBlanc. Mrs. Pickett. Mr. Ryder.
Here.
Mr. Ungary. Madam Chair.
Here. Item 6, board guests. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight I'm going to welcome Elena Beebe, our pre-K through 12 STEAM coordinator, and I'm going to allow her to do the introductions because I don't want to mess up anyone's name, and I know she's fully well prepared to talk tonight about our GEMS program. Welcome, Elena.
Thanks. Okay. Is this on? Yep, okay. So I'm going to bring up here with me today Janice Serrato and Queen Danis, who are this year's advisors for the GEMS Club.
Hi, everybody.
So thanks for having us. So just about 2 years ago, Janice and I were approached about starting a club for a population of students that aren't represented in the tech ed classes at Enfield High. So through an equity study, that was kind of something that was brought to light. And so we worked for a summer with CCAT, who is the Connecticut Center for Advanced Technology, to develop a curriculum that would hopefully help entice and enroll some of these students into our tech ed classes and see them go through a series of classes, not just take one and then kind of fall off.
I am Janice Serrato. I am one of the fortunate advisors to the GEMS program.
I'm also an advisor. First year. So I'm also learning as well.
And it's amazing. So our job is to be that catalyst. We have 8 sessions. We're trying to elicit a spark for Enfield's future engineers to learn an academic pathway through Enfield High, as well as their career options when they're ready. We do have a lot of hands-on activities. First, I'd like to give a little shout out to our current enrolled 8th graders. So I'd like to, I appreciate Wilbur, Julia, Rosie, Addison, Emma, and Charlotte. Those are our six students that we have enrolled this year. We're currently working on robotics. We have worked on some pre-construction, design and pre-construction, which is our architecture. We will be going into automotive, which I personally think is pretty exciting because my dad's in the automotive world. And I'm missing one.
The woodworks.
Oh, yes, we did the CNC machine. We do V-carve, and we do on a shop bot how we create signs. But that being said, our former GEM students are here to present some of their work that they did last year.
So last year we had 7 students enrolled. One actually was from JFK, and her parents picked her up at JFK every day and brought her over to the high school where we had these students. We had 1 sophomore and the rest were freshmen. So we have 4 of them here today to kind of talk to you a little bit about what they did last year in the program and how they are following through with some things. They're also very involved in Buzz, all 4 of them. So we're going to start with Katia Diaz, who's going to talk to you about our pre-design and construction.
Do you mind that I go back? Okay, thank you. We'll let the kids.
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. Hi guys.
Hello.
So
Welcome.
one of the yeah, that's okay. So one of the first units that we did, or what I call a unit, is architecture, and that's basically we got together as a group, and after like a 3-hour session of discussing architect jobs and what it means to be in architecture, and building and designing houses and schools and presenting ideas to others, we did a hands-on activity, which was basically, as you can see here, designing a floor plan and coming up with the different aspects that you need in a working house in order to be sold, in order to be living in it, in order to be affordable. So we first started with planning, sketching, and implementing different designs into a blank open space. So we started with something open like this, and then slowly but surely we made a plan and sketch of all the different rooms we wanted to have. This would be things like bathrooms, bedrooms, kitchens, necessities that we need as people in order to live in a house. We had to consider a lot of things, most of them being compactability, affordability, and all the different realistic components in a house. So for me, it helped me a lot with spreading my creativity into a physical aspect, which included being able to use actual things like hot glue gun and cutting things out and creating them into designs. A lot of students also made things like cutouts of windows, cutouts of doors, and the floor plan here are much more detailed since a lot of students also went through many different designs with them. It was really a creative experience. And to relate this back into what I first talked about is it helps us connect a lot with a real world experience, especially there were some students already there that were interested in architecture. So this kind of helped them project what's their job going to be like. So it kind of helped with making prototypes for eventually what would be the manufacturing process, which is another one of the units that we talked about.
So next up is Sophia Carrier. And she's going to speak to the manufacturing unit. Is it
on? For our manufacturing unit in GEMS, we started off by creating, what we were going to do in the future was we were creating a unique sign that each student would customize on their own using a program called VCarve, which is basically in order to create 3D carvings from a 2D image in order to design our own CNC'd sign, our own CNC unique sign, eventually going to be made on a ShopBot. This machinery, this type of program that we got to use was something that that if we were to go into the manufacturing field and we're actually going to CNC stuff, for example, a CNC engineer, this was something that we would use. So we had almost professional experience to be able to keep going forward and to create new unique signs. We got to play around with different texts, different fonts, different wordings, and we even got to create different shapes. Something that one of the students have done before was, since we were all part of Buzz in our high school in the robotics, one of us even tried to create a smiley face in order to make a logo to put over one of our rooms in the annex. So since this is actual things that we got to use in the future, this is something that we get to experience, but it doesn't just help us make signs, it also helps us, for example, with different robotics parts that we would make. In Buzz, we do a lot of the robotics parts, but in GEMS, we also did start our own robot, and that's one of the other units that we started with.
Can you show us the rest of the signs that you have? Yeah, if you want to put them on the table.
Everybody can see them on TV.
That's great.
Take orders too, if you want.
I'm in.
So next up is Reem, who's going to talk about Selma. Selma's going to talk about our robotics unit, which went underneath the STEAM and engineering.
Hi. I'm pretty sure this one I made, or
there was two of them, but so I got a little confused. But so this unit, it was like, I think it was like the most fun one because we actually got to make it and it moves, but I'll show you that later. So we got to learn about the different components it takes. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, there's a whole bunch of wires and stuff. And it honestly, like, none of us here are in electrical at Buzz, so we're not really deep into like, oh, what does this do? What does that do? So it kind of, honestly, it helped us understand what certain wires do, and even though like they're not the same, but I mean, scaling wise, the other one's huge. But it was like an intro to what we might learn at Buzz, and actually some of us did go into electrical. And we're still doing mechanical, but yeah. So last year was our first year at Buzz for three of us, sorry. And so we were all like kind of scared into this, but this kind of like, we were very confident in doing this one at least because we're like, oh, we know this. We already got this in the bag. So we built it, we wired it, and then Miss Beebe had a code we had to put in because we're not into programming, but so we put in the code and it started moving around. There was like a little mix up with the code, so we were they were all trying to figure it out, and eventually it worked out, and hopefully it works today. But yeah, I think it was one of the most like fun ones because we got to learn about all the different things it does, and then it came with like a little booklet, and you could do different things with it and like see what does what in a way that I didn't know before. But yeah, and also we used our iPads to maneuver it. So like the Arduino Blue is an app that we use, and it goes on our cell phones, our iPads, any device, and we can use it to move it around. So hopefully it works. Okay, but also I forgot to mention something. So it also just simplifies, like this was like at Buzz, it's a huge robot and there's a lot of people working on it, but this kind of like, we made our little own one, and it kind of simplified how like complex subsets into smaller, easier parts. So like we understood what did what, and it was really fun. I really liked it. Let's hope so. Oh, going the wrong way. Don't even. It is adorable. I haven't done this in a while. But yeah, like it does cool things. There's an app that you can also do like commands, and it will like, if anyone's into that type of stuff, you just put it into text and it will do something. In the kit that we got, there was actually a lot of other stuff that was included, but we didn't put it in because we had a time frame for it. But I was looking at them like last night, for example, and I saw like these cool, like there was like a bluish thing, and it was like a text box in a way, but you get to like put your own thing in it. And I mean, it looked really cool. I would definitely do this like, because we already made this together. Like if I went home, I would definitely like try to set up the thing because it gave it to us. But yeah, it was really cool. This also, for someone here, it helped us depending on our classes. So like for this, we were all already into like engineering or just STEM in general. So it helped us. So for one student, she's taking an auto class, but this also like pushed her to take an auto class. She was like, how does I do the wheels and everything like that, but she'll get into it.
So our last student is Reem. Reem's going to talk about our transportation, which then turned over to an automotive unit.
Okay. Hi, I'm going to talk about the automotive unit. I don't really have anything to show. It's more like an experience thing. So we did multiple things. For example, we learned how to change a tire and how to change oil. And we talked to one of the teachers that worked in Intro to Auto, and they taught us some basic components and elements of a car and how they all get together to make a working automobile. And we learned some skills that are offered in our school, but some of them can't take it because of like the more men control industry, I guess. And we talked about what we would do if our car would break down or we would get pulled over, what would we do, or like what would we say. And I think one takeaway I can take from participating in this is that women can participate in such, or like they can undertake this much of challenge of an industry where men mostly take over. But I think that as we go, or as generations come and go, I think that it will start to look more equal, and like more women will be more involved, I hope. And I think this is what the program will teach us, and how we can all be, we could all be participating in this all equally. Thanks.
All right. Do you guys have any questions for any of us or the students?
Of course.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to start? We'll start with Mr. Hamry, and then we'll go to Dr. Calnan.
So I don't have any questions per se. I'm just amazed at the opportunities to explore the creativities and pursue the interests that are available, and not to highlight, to highlight all of them. They were amazing. And the architecture piece, the sign piece, the robot piece, I just heard about it. I apologize. Automotive piece. True fact, you got to make sure that the oil pan has enough room to collect all the oil in it, right? Learned that one the hard way more than once. So it's just amazing that all of this is available for you, and I'm happy to see that you're all pursuing it and that you continue to do that. Thank you.
Dr. Calnan?
So I just had a comment too, actually two quick comments. And one is I'm really, really glad to see all these girls up here because you're absolutely right. When I was in high school, just the idea of girl going into engineering or automotives or manufacturing was just no. It was unthinkable. And so I think what you're doing here, I think to an extent that's probably even true today. So I think you're really making some major breakthroughs here, and I want to congratulate you for that. And I also think this is a wonderful program because it's a perfect synthesis of everything that you're learning. You learn from the arts and the sciences and manufacturing and maybe even marketing. So it's just a beautiful synthesis of everything that you should be learning. So thank you.
Mr. Ryder?
So I am a huge fan of everything that you guys are doing, but I also wanted to thank your staff. So where did the original idea for this program come from?
Oh, Mr. Daig.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thank you again, John.
Yeah. I think just through some analysis that he was doing, the numbers just kind of were glaring.
I agree. And I think that this is another example of something that we do right here in Enfield Public Schools. And I wanted to thank you and Ms. Serrato for making this actually happen. It's one thing even if it was, an idea that didn't come from you, but that you guys raised your hand and made sure that our students had this available to them. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you.
Ms. Acree?
I just want to say, great job, girls. Girl power. Yes. And thank you, ladies, for being great leaders doing this for the girls. Thank you so much. But you did an amazing job. Thank you.
Ms. Cushman?
I just want to thank you for coming and each one of you taking the time to share. But I was wondering, I know there's some exposure here at the meeting for people that watch it, but how else can you help spread the word to other schools or classes so that they can begin to look into?
So right now we are focusing on the 8th graders at JFK, so that way they get some more concrete projects to do that they're not getting necessarily in the classes that they're taking. So it is an 8th grade club that we are running. So we promote it there through the advertising, through the club catalog and all of that. Yep.
In continuum of what Ms. Cushman said, when we see people doing, or the staff and the students doing everything right, we want it to trickle down everywhere. So that's what, and grow and enhance. And I have no doubt that this will happen. I just have a few comments. When I first learned of GEMS at the science fair, I heard Mr. Daig and Mr. Otto talking about it, and it was important to have you guys come to our board meeting. But a couple of things as a mom I can kind of observe. When you guys came in, you gravitated towards each other. You wanted to be prepared. You guys have developed, just in your presentation and your skills that you're reaching out, you've developed skills that young adults that are graduating from college haven't yet attained. Going to the workforce is about problem solving, collaboration, thinking outside the box, and sometimes getting out of your comfort zone. And just because it might be a man's world doesn't mean that a female can't do it. So ask those hard questions and understand that a female can be in a leadership role and work well with others and be strong and confident. And you guys are all reflective of strong, confident students. I'm very proud of the fact that we have Ms. Beebe, Ms. Serrato, Ms. Dennis, all female leadership. I think that's important in your endeavors as well. I really appreciate you guys coming. I want to see if I have anything else. But yeah, that's all I have. I'm really proud of you. Keep up the hard work. One day, I think as adults, I wish you could see what we are seeing right now. You guys are going to do a great job in life, and follow your dreams and don't take no for an answer. So thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, before they go,
Sure.
Can I just add one thing? First of all, I may have failed to mention that Ms. Beebe is our K-12 STEAM coordinator. Ms. Cushman, so no pressure. However, I do have to state for the record that this is her first year in the role, so she hasn't completed it, but she's done a remarkable job in the short time that she's been in this job. So we're very grateful to have her. And while I have you, first of all, Selma, Mr. Long, it was very impressive that you can get that with your phone, because he couldn't turn his phone on today. So I had to take that opportunity. It's absolutely true. But not in addition to being, and I don't want to pick on anybody, and I don't want to mispronounce the name, so it's Kathia, correct? And Sophia. In addition to being wonderful STEM students, coincidentally, I found out over the weekend that Sophia and Kathia won their division at History Day and have advanced on to the states in this coming May, I believe it was. So Mr. Z was very proud and made sure he sent a picture of you. And when I walked in, I'm like, I know them. Yeah. And I just checked with him. I'm like, wait a minute, they're here for the wrong thing. That was part of my report, so I got to kill two birds with one stone. So congratulations on your accomplishment on winning your senior division on History Day. And good luck in the States. We expect to bring you back when you're state champions in that as well. But thank you guys all for what you've done. And I know the staff members have put so much into this. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Ms. Serrato, we can forward our sign orders to you? Okay. I have a couple ideas. Thank you.
Item 7, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Drezek.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Which student rep would like to go first today? She always defers to Morgan. I'm not picking.
Okay. Well, hello there. Long time no see. So this Friday, the high school will be holding a Yukon Spirit Day since the men have gone to our Final Four for the first time in a year. I don't even know how long. I'm not a big basketball fan, but I want to give a huge thank you to Ms. Clark for actually bringing this to my attention. I am super excited we got it up and running, and it's set. All the flyers are up around the school. Teachers, please check your mailboxes. We placed them there this morning. Junior prom is Thursday, April 6th, right before spring break. It is being held at Crestview Country Club from 6 to 10 p.m. Tickets are no longer being sold. The last day to buy them was yesterday. If you are going to junior prom and you are leaving early, you can only leave The earliest you can leave is 11 a.m. All dismissal notes must be turned in to Miss Smith by April 4th. Congratulations to every junior that took their SATs on Friday. You got it. I believe in you. Senior scholarships are now available in person or online on Naviance. Come on, seniors. We need those this year. The digital media production class. This class is conducting an education campaign to make students aware of dangers of distracted driving. Again, seniors, I know we had someone come in for us for our health class, and that was extremely eye-opening. So please, if you have a chance, watch this video. I guarantee you it'll change your mind about that. Grades close Thursday, March 30th, so it's the end of the third quarter. Go out strong. The artist of the month is Abby Peretta. DECA competition. Congratulations to Ashley Levine for placing second in the state DECA competition. She will be heading to Florida, I believe. And I want to do a huge congratulations to Brianna Carlin and Madison Bohan on being our valedictorian and salutatorian of the class of 2023.
Okay, I have a lot of sports updates. So on April 4th, the outdoor track team will be competing in Manchester, and the meet will start at 3:45. It will be held at Manchester High School. Boys lacrosse has their first game that is being held on April 3rd at 4:30. The boys are headed down to Bristol High School and will play on the turf there. Girls lacrosse had a scrimmage today at home against Chicopee Comprehensive. They played on the EHS turf at 3:45. Their next scrimmage will be this Thursday away at Rockville at the Rockville High School turf. The game is being held at 4 p.m. Their first official game is next Tuesday at home against Bristol Central at 3:45. Boys volleyball had a scrimmage today against Westfield, and it was at Westfield High School. Their first game is a home game against Simsbury on Monday, April 3rd in the EHS gym. Girls tennis on Wednesday, April 5th will travel to Bristol Eastern to face Bristol Eastern High School, and the match will start at 3:45. And boys tennis on Wednesday, April 5th, will also be traveling, but they will be traveling to Platt to face Maloney/Platt Co-op, and the match will start at 3:45.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we're missing a few members this evening, so hopefully they'll watch to catch up and not just see the great presentation by what the best that we do, but also to see this part that you guys are coming up on almost the completion of your elected term. Some of you have been on the board previously, but one thing you all know, all 9 of you collectively know, that this is a very thankless job. So this month, we're concluding March is Board Appreciation Month, and we wanted at this time to recognize the 9 of you for your devotion and your dedication to the students and to the families and staff members of the Enfield Public Schools. So as you can see in front of you, there are small tokens of appreciation from all of our schools. There's also a video presentation that Mr. Longi has forwarded on to you from JFK, just as a small token on behalf of all the kids that you represent in town, to say thank you for your selfless dedication to our kids. And another public service announcement that you guys are volunteers. And I know a lot of times in this chamber, we get into conversations that at sometimes can be contentious, for me to be polite. At the end of the day, you guys you signed up to do this to volunteer to help kids, and that can't be forgotten. And I will also make a point to let all of our other elementary schools know that Enfield Street School one-upped all of you. Clearly by the camera angle, you'll all see that. So way to go, Enfield Street School. But again, on behalf of all of us, thank you for what the 9 of you do collectively as volunteers. It's not lost on those who are here. So I want to thank you on behalf of everyone. And as a reminder, students and staff will not attend school starting on Friday, April 7th through April 14th. That will be our spring vacation. It is not going to snow anymore, so we're not touching April break, and we're good to go. Students and staff will return on Monday, April 17th. And just another quick reminder on the subject of previous board guests, at our last meeting, we had Mr. Ramos from our Unified Sports Program come and present. We were notified today that Mr. Ramos was actually named the State Unified Coach of the Year. So Congratulations to Mr. Ramos. We couldn't be more proud or lucky to have you working with our kids. And we know we said a lot of things about him last week, but the message I sent to you guys was we weren't lying. He's that good. So congratulations to Armando. And lastly, I know I've gotten some questions from parents, and I'm not going to take any thunder for board member comments, but beginning this week, the board's School Modernization Committee is going to get underway. It's a pretty aggressive time frame for some of the meetings, and I'll allow you guys to explain that. It's not my committee, but I had some parents reach out about when my advisory committee was going to meet again. Unfortunately, because of the scheduling of this committee, it kind of took one of my dates, so it's there. I will send the notification out when the calendars clear up again, but we're getting to that time of year where it's really hard to find dates. And if you don't believe me, Dr. Jerry let us know how Kite is on tomorrow, because I did apologize on those who couldn't attend. So that will conclude the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Any audiences? Board member comments? Ms. Sakri?
Good evening, everyone. Today, I got a chance to visit Prudence Crandall for their Pride Assembly. And PRIDE is an acronym for Patience, Respect, Integrity, Determination, and Engagement. So this assembly honored students that earned PRIDE Awards for their accomplishments in the classroom. And these accomplishments can be in reading, math, music, physical education, etc. Also, 3 of the students received the Kindness Award for the month of March. And there was also a part in the assembly that showcased 2 students who were part of the intervention convention. So the 2 students are also going to the regional competitions for their inventions. One student did a backpack protector, and another student's invention was a special gel comb. Also, from Prudence Crandall, I received like a special Crandall t-shirt. We had letters, beautiful letters written by the students, not only to me, but also written to the other board members. I received an ABC, Crandall's School ABC book, okay, through the highlighting the alphabet and their special meanings for each letter. Let's see. In these letters, by the way, they express their gratitude to our board members who donate their time, their care, support for the school's community. And so the students received, and then they said something about, we received the best education because of our board members. We love you. Like, for example, a few favorites. Someone wrote, thank you, Mrs. Akri, and for donating your time and for our education. Even though it's something he was trying to say, even though we will always treat you like your home with family. One of my favorites. They wrote to the whole board. I just picked a few favorites. Thank you for not allowing things in our organization that you would not have allowed in your own organization. Another thank you for bringing your passion, intellect, insight, experience, and resources to the table. We love you. That's to the whole board. And thank you to all the BOE members for all that you do for all of the Enfield kids. You have been supporting kids you support the kids from Enfield. We love you and thank you. And I would like to also read. So it was a great day being at Crandall today. Very inspiring. And Mr. DePere from his desk would like to share. The grade 3 students had special guests from Connecticut Water this week explaining the water cycle, water conservation, and some fun activities for at home and at school. Their Smarter Balance Assessment testing will begin on April 19th. All intermediate schools will be hosting a One Book, Three Schools book unveiling party on April 20th. Please see the flyer in the newsletter so you can RSVP. On April 27th, in conjunction with the Enfield Social Services Prevention staff, Crandall will be hosting a district-wide virtual presentation on the health effects of vaping, ways to talk to your children about vaping, and the legal ramifications for students in possession of vapes in school. More information to follow. And he also wishes everyone, I hope everyone enjoys their April vacation. I also would like to express, I attended the Enfield Chorus Festival that was held at Enfield High School last Saturday afternoon. The choral ensembles sang beautifully. Kudos to Mr. Rapucci. Am I saying it right? Rapucci. Sorry about that. But kudos for having such fine music educators. Congratulations go to Melissa Clark, Kimberly Jakes, Elizabeth Gagnon, Amanda Tilgman, Elizabeth Tomzik, and of course to the wonderful singer-musicians that were highlighted at the choral festival. It says, I just want to say congratulations to everyone because it was a great job. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Kalnin?
Thank you. I'll start off with Head Start, and the policy committee of Head Start met on March 27th to review and vote on funding from a 5.6% cost of living grant from the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Enfield Head Start proposes to use the allotted $55,000 and some dollars for staff salaries and fringe benefits, and the Board of Education will provide $13,839 in non-federal share contributions. In addition, the policy committee reviewed and voted to request approval of the Board of Education to use quality improvement funding from the Department of Health and Human Services to support early language and literacy initiatives in the amount of $28,866. And the Enfield Board of Education would provide $7,217 in non-federal share. Finally, the Head Start Policy Committee has submitted its quality improvement self-assessment plan for endorsement by the Board of Education. The plan is included in the board packet, so we'll be voting on all of those things later. With respect to KITE, on March 29th, KITE will be sponsoring the first of two community conversations on what an equitable Enfield should look like. I'll be attending, and I thought it might be interesting to look at this issue from a health perspective. At first glance, it may not seem to be relevant at this Board of Education meeting, but as I've mentioned on a number of occasions in the past, education and health are inextricably bound together. A good education depends on good health, and good health depends on good education. So the Connecticut State Department of Education undertook a study a year ago to examine the healthcare vulnerability of communities throughout Connecticut using the 15 data points of the Social Vulnerability Index. So if that sounds familiar, that's the same index that was used to determine the alliance status for school districts. Also used for this purpose was an index for health professional shortages area for medical and mental health. So using these indicators, Enfield was found to be one of 11 towns Enfield was one of 11 towns on the list for which expansion of school-based health services was recommended by the Connecticut State Department of Health. So we know from this data that healthcare disparities exist in Enfield, And one of the most effective ways of addressing them, at least with respect to our pediatric population, is to provide services through an expanded school-based health center. In a policy statement dated October of 2021, the American Academy of Pediatrics stated, quote, "The literature has shown that school-based health centers reduce health disparities by providing services to students from diverse racial and socioeconomic backgrounds, particularly the underinsured or the uninsured child." End quote. We already have a sponsor for such a center, namely the Connecticut Health Center, and I feel it's necessary at this point to sit down with CHC to determine what it would take to expand our school-based health centers services to benefit all children living in Enfield, including those with the most limited access to health, mental health, and dental care. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cushman?
I did just want to thank all of our teachers and students who took the time to make these wonderful gifts for us. We all were pretty stunned when we walked into the boardroom tonight and just saw, as you can see beside me, just all the gifts. I was thinking that Mr. Ryder is going to need a bigger tote after, like, as he mentioned in the last meeting. But it was pretty fun and exciting to see the Fox 61 meteorologist Ryan Breton at Hazardville Memorial School this past week with Mrs. Nizzolo, I hope I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry, with her kindergarten weather watchers. That was fun. It's fun to learn that all that they know about the weather forecasting tools and even that they record a forecast each day. I thought how fun it would be to get our weather forecast through them. But that's great to see that showcased across the state. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hamry?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start off with the JFK update for the JFK PTO, and kudos and thanks to Leslie for bringing the information in, as well as providing the email with additional details. Coming up in April 30th, Sunday, it's the first annual JFK Middle School PTO Mattress Fundraiser. It's going to be happening at the JFK, in JFK. There's going to be all sizes available, 25 styles on display, delivery available, financing available, all sorts of good stuff. And of course, that is to benefit the PTO. There's going to be a Zoom meeting tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. And you can find information for that on the JFK PTO Facebook page or in the email that was sent out through Dr. Barrios last week. So again, JFK PTO fundraiser for mattress fundraiser to benefit the JFK PTO. So we're next to the through the chair to superintendent. I hope you didn't jinx the whole no breaks, no days off for the break, because that would really be terrible.
I'm not coming.
Cushman said that I got my weather from the kids.
Okay, all right. So, and again, congrats to Mr. Ramos for everything he's done with the program that we heard about last time. I want to thank the Parent Leadership Academy for having me over to speak with them this past week, to talk about the benefits of PLA and to explain how this process works, to explain how it got to this point, and to encourage those PLA students to not hold back on their efforts to change the world. I also attended the Enfield Chorus Festival. It was amazing. It really was so great, and that auditorium was just a great place to be for virtually anything. And Mr. Rapucci, thank you very much. I see you there. I appreciate everything you're doing, and to your staff and the students. I love hearing everything they do every time they do it. This is I'm going to take a minute to shift now. This is a very emotional day to start with because of what happened in Tennessee. Yet again, another shooting. And it's hard not to become numb to it. It's hard not to just become cynical about the entire topic. And then we walk into this abundance of thanks and appreciation. So it's a hard day but the appreciation that we have received here today is a solid reminder of why we are here and why we have dedicated this portion of our lives to doing what we are doing. And as I mentioned in the last board meeting, I would ask that anybody that's in need of assistance for carrying weight that you don't tell anybody about, for stresses that you don't speak about, find some help, get some help. Don't go it alone, and don't assume that it's going to pass without that help. It may not, but it becomes easier when you share that weight with others. And then more to follow later on with the ECAC updates. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hamry. Mr. Ryder?
Thank you, Mr. Hamry. So again, I wanted to thank the GEMS, the young ladies that were here earlier today, as well as their teachers, because I think that is a great thing, especially as a father of a daughter who doesn't quite know what she wants to do yet. But I think that she has the type of learning capabilities that something like that may not seem obvious to her or to a lot of kids, but I think that they should give it a shot, because I think that there's a lot there and a lot of room to grow. So just wanted to mention on the town side that we have the clean sweep coming up next month. I just wanted to mention that. We can talk about it more as we get closer, but April 22nd, Earth Day, a lot of things being planned. They're on the town website. We also shared those through Enfield PTO, so people could take a look at that. That's on our social media, on the Facebook and our Instagram accounts, if you want to look at that and start planning your day. I have a few notes from Eli Whitney. We have math night coming up this Thursday. All Whitney students and families are welcome. There'll be math games for all ages. Fun starts at 4:30, ends at 6. Feel free to come for all of that, or if you are running a little late from coming home from work, please come by, even if it's late, because they're going to have a lot of activities planned. I look forward to that. There's also spare change for superheroes. Eli Whitney and HMS are collecting spare change to donate to Connecticut Children's, which, as everybody knows, another thing that I am passionate about here in town with our PJ Day every December, et cetera. So I think that's great. Students and staff will be encouraged to wear their superhero attire to school on Thursday, April 6th, before our break, to celebrate the real superheroes who are the patients at Connecticut Children's. Also, SBAC testing begins after our April break on the 19th. Our Principles of the Day essays are also due on that same day, which we spoke about at the last meeting. There's a second Yard Goats game available on EnfieldPTO.com/Whitney. They added a second game because the first one sold out of our allotment of tickets. There'll be a butter braid sale coming up. Delivery will be towards the end of April. And there'll be a spring bingo night on April 27th. Each year at Eli Whitney, we invite the incoming second grade class from Hazardville to come and see the building. So they'll get to see the all-purpose room where we play bingo, and they get to walk around for a little bit, and that way they have a little bit more of a comfort level with the building, from when they're 5 years old, starting kindergarten in Hazardville. That's the one building they know, so it's nice to go see where the big kids go as they look at it. Reem, one of our speakers earlier, was also, and Kayla are all, as well. We haven't been able to connect, but you're also two of our kindness winners recently, and I wanted to congratulate you in person. You got that award the 1 week I was away a couple months back, and then I was here 1 week and you weren't here, and so I wanted to congratulate you in person, as well as Reem, who was here earlier speaking. And I also wanted to say that it's nice to hear kids playing behind us, so I don't think the cameras are picking that up, but the kids are playing on the playscape, and the basketball court's behind us, and it's getting dark now. But for the last hour, it was very enjoyable soundtrack to hear actual playing outside. So I'm grateful for the time change and for the weather we've been having. And that is, I think, everything I have for this week. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryder. I just have a couple of updates. SafeGrad is having a spring can and bottle drive coming up on Earth Day, Saturday, April 22nd at JFK. And they also have a car wash scheduled for Saturday, May 6th at the Raffia Road service station. That is all for SafeGrad. Thank you, Mr. Drezek for bringing up Mr. Ramos. Again, I couldn't be more proud of his work with Unified Sports, and I appreciate getting the invitation. So I do have the Unified Sports events on my calendar now, which is very helpful. I also was invited to PLA. I love going to PLA. We talk about government, running an election, all the fun things that you have to do in Enfield to run for a spot on the Board of Ed. And lastly, I do want to thank GEMS for coming out again. That is such an empowering club program, and it was great to see the students come out tonight. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else. So moving on to item 10, unfinished business. We do not have any, so we're moving on to item 11, new business, approval of fiscal year 2023-2024 Head Start grants. Mr. Drezek?
Actually, I think during his board member comments, Dr. Callan actually explained what you're approving tonight. So there is information in your packet, but if you have any additional questions that I may be able to answer for you, Dr. Callan did a better job explaining exactly what you'd be voting on this evening than probably I could or Ms. Valley could.
So Dr. Callan, we just had a few clarifying questions. So the money is not COVID funds, it's federal funds, correct? Correct. And then the position for the quality literacy, that would be sustainable then, since it wouldn't be COVID funds, like correct. Implementing that position. Okay, perfect. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023-2024 Head Start grants?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamry, seconded by Mr. Ryder. Any discussion? I kind of did that in reverse. I already did the discussion. Roll call, Kathy?
Mrs. Acree?
Yes.
Dr. Calnan?
Yes.
Mrs. Cushman?
Yes.
Mr. Hamry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item B, discussion and action, if any, regarding the April 11th, 2023 regular Board of Ed meeting.
So as I stated, Mr. Hamry, there's not going to be any additional weather, so we're going to have our full and complete April vacation this year. But you also have a board meeting scheduled for April 11th, which falls within that April vacation timeframe. I know a lot of you and family members and staff members are all utilizing that time as well. The board traditionally cancels that meeting, but that would take board action for you to cancel it because it is part of your regular schedule.
Great.
Our student reps will not be here.
Yeah. Do I have a motion to cancel the April 11th, 2023 regular Board of Ed meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ryder.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hamry. Roll call?
Mrs. Acree?
Yes.
Dr. Calnan?
Yes.
Mrs. Cushman?
Yes.
Mr. Hamry?
Yep.
Excuse me. Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item C, policy revisions, first reading. Mr. Ryder?
Okay, so the policy committee last met last week, March 21st. We have two policies at this meeting that have passed subcommittee for a first reading. One of them, we have a tweak since it was posted that I'd like to read into the record when we get to it. But the first one, I have no changes to propose. So at this point, I would like to seek a motion to approve policy number 4112.5 regarding security check and fingerprinting.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamry. Second by Ms. Cushman. Discussion?
Could I just ask for a clarification? With exception of employees hired to work in the Head Start program at Stowe Early Learning Center.
So what this does is it puts us in sync with Manchester, and that is who we have our partnership with Head Start with. So this will not delay a hire while we wait for the background checks. However, this will, any teacher or employee that is not cleared would not be alone with our students. This just does not delay what we feel is a good candidate, and it also puts us in line with Manchester, who is like our sister town in our Head Start program.
Okay, thank you.
Is that correct, Mr. Lungi? In a nutshell?
So they're going to, what this is referencing is that background checks are in reference to your board policy. Head Start, because it's a federal program, has to go by federal policies. So that's all it's saying. So we're getting in line with what the federal statute says. as opposed to Enfield Board of Ed employees.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Mrs. Acree?
Yes.
Dr. Kalman?
Yes.
Mrs. Cushman?
Yes.
Mr. Hamry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
So the second policy up for first reading tonight is policy 5123 regarding promotion retention. And I would like to make a motion to enter discussion regarding a change that we have from what is included in your packets, just the ending of a sentence on the first paragraph. So I would make a motion to approve the first reading, but I want to discuss it.
Okay.
So moved.
Want to enter discussion.
Moved by Mr. Hamry, second by Ms. Cushman. Any discussion?
Yes, so the line that we're discussing, this is policy 5123 regarding promotion and retention of our students for K through 8 only, or specific to K through 8 in this comment that we're about to make. The paragraph that starts with student promotion shall be determined by academic performance and social emotional maturity. What we just wanted to clarify was the last two lines. So the last two lines currently read, guidance counselor and or other support personnel, including parental and or guardians concerned with the progress of the student are considered. Just for clarification, I wanted to change that sentence to guidance counselor and or support personnel, input from parents and guardians concerned with the progress of the student will also be considered. And I have that in print too, which I can bring to you, Kathy, assuming that everybody's okay with the change. Great, okay.
Do we have to amend the motion?
You can just include it with the motion to
Okay.
use item number 2.
Yep.
Great.
So I would propose that item number 2 be approved for first reading as amended.
So moved as amended.
Janet?
Motion by Mr. Hamry, second by Ms. Cushman. Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I just wanted to thank Ms. Cushman for her clarification on that sentence. She submitted that.
We truly do have a really rock star policy committee. They do not miss anything. So I appreciate all your hard works on that. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Acree?
Yes.
Dr. Kalman?
Yes.
Mrs. Cushman?
Yes.
Mr. Hamry?
Yes.
Mr. Ryder?
Yes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Item 12, Board Committee Reports, Curriculum Committee. I'm actually going to give the update for Ms. Pickett. And as I was reading the update, I chuckled because it's going to sound exactly like Ms. Pickett. She said, Dr. Kalman, if there's anything you want to jump in as well, or Mrs. Acree, but this is what Ms. Pickett has. A new online format for the high school program of studies was approved. Thank you, John Daig. This will create a user-friendly way to access courses offered to make informed choices for student schedules. Parents, students, and staff will be able to access this publicly available course database, and students will still follow the process of selecting their courses through PowerSchool. The platform also allows staff to create consistent and updated course progressions and pathways and additional information to make course selections, things like pictures, videos, and the course syllabus. And then, of course, Ms. Pickett would like Mr. Daig to come and demo the online format when it's live. And the next meeting is in April, and the selection of books process will be discussed. Thank you from Ms. Pickett. Do you have anything you want to add either? No? Okay, perfect. Moving on to the Finance Committee. Policy Committee.
Again, as I mentioned, Policy Committee met last week on the 21st, and we're meeting again April 18th.
Leadership Committee, we did not have a need to meet. Joint Facilities Committee.
Joint Facilities Committee met last week on the 23rd of March. Our next scheduled meeting is presently April 13th.
JFK Building Committee.
JFK Building Committee also met on the 23rd of last week. Their next meeting is scheduled for April 6th.
The Enfield Mental Health and Wellness Work Group.
No report.
Nothing to report. And the Enfield Cultural Arts Commission.
Yep. So first thing I want to point out is next to the children playing on the playgrounds outside here behind us is the site prep being done. The Building and Grounds is working on site prep for what will be the gazebo that's going to be in place hopefully in time for the summer weather, the warm weather, to allow for some performances to be held right back here in our own, literally our own backyard right here. So with that being said and the progress being made to bring that online, ECAC is, in cooperation with town manager, soliciting ideas for musical acts or performances to take place, not just musical acts, but performances to take place in the gazebo later this year and moving forward. So if there was a tangible marker to say that the ECAC is busy doing stuff, let it be this. It's going to be a great experience. Still waiting on the updates for when the open mic nights are going to start happening, or open mics may not necessarily be at night because they're going to be using the community room at the main library on Middle Road for that to get started. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that yesterday was World Theater Day, and to anybody that's involved in theater, whether on stage, backstage, production, whatever the role might be, or those that just appreciate it, World Theater Day happened, and it's a good thing to remember that theater is available and has been back after the pandemic with a excitement that it is that I've missed. So if you have the opportunity to attend a show anywhere you might be able to see one, please do so. With that as a segue into the opportunities you might find locally, the Opera House Players have a production of Hunchback of Notre Dame taking place at the Annex. That the tickets are open, the box office is open for that now, so you can get your tickets for the Hunchback of Notre Dame at the Annex through Opera House Players. Enfield High School is currently in rehearsals for The Sound of Music, and I've been very happy to be back with Mr. Reese helping with set build and doing whatever he needs help with. Although, admittedly, I am not the most present of the volunteers over there because commitments have me pulled in several different directions. But it's nice to see that there are other parents showing up and hanging out, and during the downtime talking about what great kids we have and what great programs we have and the experiences that we see our children having in their theater experiences. And a shout out to Valley Rep who are in production as Nuntuck, or in rehearsals rather, for their production of Holidazed, and that's going to be a good time over there. A production that should have been done, was intended to be done earlier in 2022, but now coming up in the upcoming months. So Holidazed at Valley Rep, by Valley Rep through Ada's Nuntuck. Tickets, I believe, are also on sale for that. But as a personal note, get involved in the arts wherever you can, express it. And if people you don't do it for yourself. You do it for, rather, you don't do it for anybody else. You do it for yourself. So pursue what you want to pursue and make it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Hamry. The Joint Security Committee?
I will get a date for our next meeting. I don't have that on me.
Thank you. And then Kathy, we'll be adding the Pre-K through 5 Modernization Committee to this list, but we can take some time to speak to that this evening. The Pre-K through 5 Modernization Committee was selected. I think we had a total 34 applicants, maybe more. We appreciate everyone who applied, and you were carefully selected for this committee. As Mr. Drezek said, we're going to hit the ground running with an aggressive timeline before April break. The plan of the Modernization Committee is to actually meet at every school and see every school and tour every school. So we have an idea of the space issues and the pain points at each school, because every school is unique. Every school is out of space and every school is old, but there is some uniqueness to each school. And we begin those meetings tomorrow. So we have 2 meetings. Mr. Ryder, you can jump in or add.
So yeah, we'll be meeting twice this week and 3 times next week. We're going to work on getting 5 meetings in before spring break. Wednesday, March 29th at 5:30, we'll be meeting at Hazardville Memorial School. And if time allows, we'll be touring Eli Whitney as well. If not, we'll be doing Eli Whitney the next day on Thursday, March 30th, when we'll also be touring the Henry Barnard School and Prudence Crandall schools. Next week on Monday, April 3rd, we'll be touring Enfield Street School and Parkman, as well as Eagle Academy. And on Tuesday, April 4th, the plan is to meet at Stowe and then convene with the group at JFK so we can give all the people on this committee the chance to see what a school could look like if they're not familiar with that. And that's where we will hopefully have our meeting where we can recap all of the discussions that have happened and occurred through our tours over the last four previous meetings, I should say. And it's then and throughout these conversations where hopefully we can put a plan together that we can recommend to the Board of Education as a whole, as well as to the Town Council prior to our spring vacation with some suggestions based on what we saw and the ideas that come up over the next 5 out of 8 weekdays.
Mr. Hamry?
Thank you. I just wanted to comment that we have technology working in our favor tonight. ECAC is watching, and they sent me the updates on the open mic nights. It's happening at the, again, Enfield Public Library. It's going to be happening the first Wednesday of every month starting April 5th, and it's a Wednesday, again, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., 8 p.m., 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., Enfield Culture and Arts open mic night.
Going back to the PK through 5 Modernization Committee, I think, well, first of all, I'd like to say that Mr. Ryder and Ms. Cushman are going to be the board liaisons, and then Mr. Nelson and Deputy Mayor Sakala are going to be the liaisons from the Town Council. We do have some other town staff and central office admin. That'll be, of course, Mr. Daigle will be part of the committee. One of the things we will never waver from on this committee is that it has to be staff-led and community-led. It's very important to hear what the educators are saying. The committee is very balanced between educators and community members. And the other thing that's important is every school feel represented and heard. Eagle Academy, Enfield Street, every school has to be seen and heard and feel valued. And that will never waver from this committee's charge and our work. And most importantly, it's really focusing on academics, and we've seen where our kids have gone post-COVID. We've gotten great presentations from Ms. Middleton. We're seeing in the transition grades that there's some issues, and putting this committee together is a great way to tackle it, again, being staff-led and community-led, which is very important. So I just wanted to add that about the Pre-K through 5 Modernization Committee. We hit the ground running tomorrow. It's going to be very exciting. I'm excited to see the schools and to hear what the staff has to say and the community members. So thank you for that. Item 13, approval of minutes, regular Board of Ed meeting minutes, March 14th, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ryder, second by Ms. Cushman. Show of hands. Thank you. Item 14, approval of accounts and payroll.
No report.
Okay. Item 15, Mr. LeBlanc isn't here, but I just wanted to take a moment because I didn't touch on it in the board member comments, but both Mr. Hamry and Ms. Cushman did. Coming in this evening, and I can speak on behalf of the board, literally put a smile on our faces when we see the graciousness of the students and the staffs and the PTO families that are here in Enfield. Although it is a thankless job, when you have the opportunity to go to the schools and actually see the students' faces and the teachers' faces and the families' faces, it's very easy to remember why we do this and why we go through this. And I really appreciate you thinking of all of us, and these notes are amazing. And I still have to tell you, from all the prior Boards of Ed's appreciation days, I still have some of that stuff. I have my little planner with the pom-poms. I think that was from Head Start. I have the first sign that they made at JFK with the printer. I do save everything. I have my Enfield High lanyard I still use for my Board of Ed ID. So everything we get, I save, and I can't thank you enough, and I know the board feels the same way. So thank you. Item 16, executive session, Mr. Drezek. We don't have a need. Item 17, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Hamry. Second by Ms. Cushman. All in favor? Thank you.